right about that, so I'm gonna speak out against it.
Right. Exactly. I feel like another issue, like with not saying that social media is something bad, but I feel like in our day and age, back like I don't want to say back then, but
You can say back then.
they didn't have anything to compare like a lot of women to. Like if you went to a school, like if you went to a high school, those were the girls that you knew. Like in your city, that was really it. But now these guys, my age, they have these Instagram models, these Twitter models. They can go online and look up certain things, and so now they're comparing like us regular, I guess regular women. They're comparing them to these women, and they're like, okay, this is the woman that I want, and that just leaves nothing.
I would say that's twofold. Were you done? I just want to talk.
No,
okay. I would say that's twofold, 100%, because it goes both ways.
I didn't know you were going that way, but I got you now.
That's true.
The same way that guys can see any kind of woman, girls can see any kind of guy. And a lot of the culture of social media is showing the best image of yourself, the best version of yourself. That even goes back to the whole bank accounts thing. Like, I only see this person at their best. They can only deposit. They're not with me in front of me. I don't see the negatives. I only see their positives. And so that's another way of don't allow seeing the best and not even the best of someone. That's like, it's like the glorified best. It's what we try to make ourselves out to be more so than who we truly are all the time. All this Photoshop, all of this and that. I'm renting a car to say I got it, that kind of thing. So just don't let that pull you away from the reality in which you are in, chasing ideals that other people have created. That's what I would say to that.
So I got two things to say to that, man. Two things to say to that. And I mean, y'all both right on. Y'all both dead on. But the first thing I'd say is, and I know I'm gonna forget the second one, but the first thing I'm gonna say is, if you even look at it, like because objectifying over some celebrity or something is nothing new. I mean, it's just that back in the day we had to look at VCR tapes, or we had to come on TV, or in magazines or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, a lot of these relationships of these celebrities or models or whatever don't last, right? And so if you're really true to yourself, if you really look behind the curtain, you'll understand that, they come with flaws too, and their flaws are gonna be the same as the girl next door. And so you need to recognize that. A lot of
times even boosted.
It's even worse. And so that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say, and you're true. I mean, you do have this, but again, and that's why for me, it's about calling an awareness. It's like, if you understand, because Yo MTV Cribs was big when I was coming through, right? And so Yo MTV Cribs, everybody was looking at Yo MTV Cribs. They're looking at these nice cribs that these people are in, right? Until we found out that they were, people were just going out, and the show was leasing somebody else's crib for somebody to go and show up in so they can make it look like. You didn't know that? You didn't know that?
Wow, I didn't even know that at all.
Yeah. So
that makes sense though.
So the houses that these people were in weren't even their houses.
Right.
The cars that they were driving weren't even their cars. And so I guess that's why for our generation, some of us, I guess, have a more level-headed approach to it, because we realize that what they're selling us is not necessarily what is true. The other thing is, our generation, we were on the tail end, or no tail end. We were in the beginning stages of what they call reality TV. Right. So reality TV wasn't big when I was growing up. It was just, I guess in the 80s or the late 80s when they had this big media guild strike, and now they start pushing out all this reality TV. And even reality TV, if you would really go look for the research on the reality TVs and see the number of families and friends that have been torn apart because of reality TV, because what the show looks like is not what takes place in the filming, because the editors, they spin a web because they want drama. And even if you don't have drama in your household, right, they don't want your show. They want you to be filled with drama, because drama is what sells. And so these things that this current, I guess this term, I can't even say this current generation, because it's people my age that fall for the same stuff, right? So this current time, what's being pushed, we need to wise up. And so we need to be advocates, or we need to be mouthpieces to say, hey man, come on, really think about that. Which is why I want to bring this conversation to bear, because it's like what media is telling us. Media, like you said, when you first heard what I said, me read this thing, you was like, nah, that don't make sense. Men don't, it's sex and love. No, that's what they really want. And it's like, no, this is from a man's perspective, is what a man is saying. Because he's willing to be honest. But the problem is, when men are willing to bare their souls and be honest because it doesn't sound popular, women don't believe them. And I can say the reversal is true. Because a woman can say the same thing. Well, it's funny, man. So it's this book, and I was looking for the book. I still can't find this book. It's a book that's called Restoration of Man. Restoration of Man. In Restoration of Man, it talks about how, and again, man, there's so many different directions we go in this, because we don't have a lot of two-parent households anymore, and so this changes the dynamic. But I will tell you, in Restoration of Man, it talks about the role of a father, right, with a daughter. And it talks about the daughter has these grandiose dreams growing up of being a princess, and this knight in shining armor coming to save her. Now, back in the day when we didn't have social media talking about everybody was knights in Bugattis and all this kind of stuff, we realized it was one knight in shining armor coming to save me. But now our senses are flooded so much with all this kind of stuff, we don't know what the knight in shining armor looks like. But still, the young lady has this whole desire and dream that somebody is going to want her just for her, right? And going to come up and going to be willing to slay the dragon to get her. And the father's role in that, the father in the home's role in that, is to be a guardian over the daughter. And so when the man comes, or the young man comes to court his daughter, he's supposed to provide resistance. Because if the young man is not willing to go through resistance to get to his daughter, he's not worthy of his daughter.
Right.
Flip side of the coin, the daughter's sitting in the back saying, Daddy, please don't give him a hard time, because this is the one. Please let me have him. This is the one. Because she's afraid that the father might run him off. If the father runs him off, it's good for the daughter. So that's the whole dynamic behind Restoration of Man. But it gets a little deeper, and it actually goes into sex. Like, you got something to say?
No.
Okay. And it actually goes into sex. And it says, you know what? Sex is the beginning of a relationship for a female. The beginning of a relationship for a female. Sex is the end of a relationship for a male. Right? Because by nature, men are up for the conquest. Like, we're after the conquest. And so we are courting a girl, and we're trying to be nice and sweet and everything else to the girl until she gives us the goal. Right? When she gives us the goal, we've conquered that. Now we got to go off and conquer something else, because that's our driving force. Now, the mature man will continue. Well, he's already got the ultimate, so it's nothing else to continue to do. But, the mature man, I mean, because in a relationship, you want to make sure that you find another goal within the same person that you want to, because that's what men, we have to conquer things. We are goal driven. And so just make sure that relationship provides you enough goals to go after. But in being the beginning of the relationship for the female is like, I've finally given him everything.
Right.
And when
all of me.
I'm giving him all of me, because I figured that that's what it's going to take to keep him. The problem is, it's not the way he sees it. And so it's the thing that kind of skews the woman's view of what it takes to get a man. And then she goes into self-preservation mode, because at that point she now realizes, I have to take care of myself, because this was the one that I was giving my everything to, and he violated that. And so I could never get myself to that place again. Go ahead.
I mean, you took it somewhere different.
Oh, go. Where were you going, though?
Oh, I was just going to say, kind of more into just talking about when you're giving that part of yourself up, it's almost like for a woman, it's opening yourself up. This is every part of me. Like, I've trusted you enough to get to this point. And I feel like we've kind of taken that out of it. The whole exchange of trust, the exchange of, like, this is myself wholeheartedly when it comes to sex. And it's more just like, this is something that we wanted to do.
Right.
I feel like we push people to have sex really fast in today's time, and so, I mean, that just makes it even harder to know where you're at when it comes to relationships and things like that. Because like when I'm talking to someone and we've had sex by like the end of the week, then where does that stand? There's no thing like signifying how far we've gone or where we're trying to go. It's become just a casual thing. Um,
Mhm.
that's what I was gonna touch on. I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
So what I wanted to say is, like, with females, I also think we are part of the problem with as far as men getting what they want and then leaving. As women, like, we hold all the power as far as if as far as us having sex and everything. If we decide to wait and just like figure out exactly who that man is and just know our worth, we're worth more than just having sex with the person. Like, the relationship isn't just sex, it has to do with who you are, your personality, all of those things tie into it. So that shouldn't be like, okay, if I don't have sex with him, then he's gonna leave. Okay, then find somebody else that will wait for you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like women, we've kind of like given up, like, okay, this is what I need to do to keep him, like, to keep him around. But like, why did we stop there? Like, what, that we're worth way more than just that, you know?
Yeah,
So that's
I
how I
agree
feel
with
about that.
that because like having sex with a man, it's not like you unlock something. When you have sex with
Mhm.
a man, it's not that, okay, now I've unlocked this new level, he's gonna treat me even better, things like that. You hold a man accountable before he even gets that. Because if you don't hold him accountable before
Mhm.
sex, he's definitely not gonna be accountable for it afterwards. Because he's already
Right.
it's funny because even like biologically and chemically, after a man has sex, it lets off chemicals in his brain that tells him that he's achieved the goal, he's accomplished his purpose
Mhm.
with that whole
Mhm.
conquest thing. And so it's like if you haven't held him up to a certain standard before, definitely after his body has told him that he's achieved what he needed to achieve in this situation, he's definitely not going to put that extra effort into it afterwards. You have to have
Mhm.
someone that puts the effort into it beforehand. His standard is putting in the
Yeah.
effort for you,
Right.
and so that doesn't detract
Right.
or add. He continues that standard.
And I mean, honestly,
Right.
and this is again, it's biological and it's biological and it's chemical. But
It's so spiritual.
no, I wasn't gonna say it was spiritual, but it is spiritual. But what I was gonna say was, men don't hold sex to the same sacred level that
Mhm.
women do.
Yeah.
Okay, for a man, for the most part, and I'm not speaking for every man, so I mean, don't come for me. But what I am saying is, like, once a man I mean, honestly, can I tell me what I told you
I
about
don't know what
sex?
you told me.
I know. So you learned again for the first time. So this is what I told my son about sex, right? I was like, man, look, let me tell you something. Don't just go out and have sex, right? I said, make sure that first the preferable stance is you're married, but society makes it really hard for that now. But make sure you found the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life. Because this is what it's like for a man, and I know it's not like this for a woman, at least not naturally. Once a man unlocks that, he wants to continue to hit that high, right? And that high was not an emotional tie. That high was a physical action.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like once you've opened up, I feel like it's that way for like almost any addiction, almost.
It is.
Right. Once you unlock that part, once you open yourself up to that, now you're chasing that high.
Now you're chasing
And
the
so
high.
it's like once you've had that interaction, once you have sex, now you're chasing that whatever avenue.
Right.
Whoever will like
Wherever.
I told him you'll go for a hole in the wall on a late drunk night. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because hey, I'm just keeping it real. Because again, it's all
Yeah.
about the physical attribute. It's not about an emotional tie. Men are logical by nature. Women are emotional by nature, right? And so
Right.
it's an emotional act. It is a very I guess almost like a spiritual connection when it comes to a male and female connection for the female.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but it's not for the man. It's not for the man. And so, even when you make sex the driver for being in a married relationship or in a relationship at all, sex is gonna fade. Sex is gonna fade.
Right.
And when sex fade, if that is the invitation, if that is the
that was the thing
benchmark,
that got you
that was
there.
the thing that got you there. Once it fades, you gone. And honestly, at
And
the
see,
end
the
of the day, no good.
Okay. No, you good.
No good.
Oh, well, I was thinking. So for the female, I feel like that high that they got from that man, they think that the high that got the man, they think that they're gonna come back to them for that same feeling over and over again, but that's really not the case.
No.
That's the problem. They think, okay, so I didn't have sex with this man, so I'm not gonna mess with nobody else. This is the only person I'm with. But in the man's mind, it's just like it's not that serious. That's
Right.
what I'm getting from that.
And I feel like
Yeah.
the infidelity problem is way worse because of the fact that we've made it such a small thing in life.
Yep.
Like if sex was still we've waited till marriage, this is between you and me, this connection, then you're not gonna have that same like things are bad, let me go find something else, because this is what I had with that person. It's something that was sacred for us. And so now it's like have however many bodies before you're married. If it gets to a point where like you're in that negative side of the bank account, it's almost like this becomes a body.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this isn't really working. I'm out searching for that physical thing again. Or even with women, I'm out searching for that connection again because I'm not feeling it right here. I'm not getting that right here at this very moment in time. And so I feel like we just make things so hard on ourselves.
We do.
Honestly.
And it's something else that I heard. I don't know, but I heard this. I heard that when a woman cheats, it's the end of a relationship. So, like, say for instance, a woman will be in a relationship with a man and she'll take any and everything from that man. But at the very moment when she decides that she's finna step out on him to go somewhere else, she's decided that it's the end of that relationship that she's in. But it's not like that for a man, because a man wants the stability at home. That's why you'll find that a man, where you started at, I want the stability at home. The sex part, that's something totally different. It ain't got nothing to do one with the other. And I mean, you'll hear men say that. I mean, shoot, me cheating on my wife ain't got nothing to do with the fact that I don't love my wife, or I don't love my family, or that I don't want to be there. And it's a skewed way of thinking. It really is. But again, the way society
Leave that.
say what?
Say that again.
That's just so hard to listen to. Like that right there is just so hard to listen to.
Oh yeah.
But that's why I wanted to have a conversation.
Perspective.
Say again.
I said from female's perspective, yeah, it's hard to listen to.
But that's why I want to have a conversation, and I want to hear the female's perspective, because the thing is, like, because it's not a popular stance, people automatically dismiss it and say, "Oh, that ain't true."
Because it's funny, because I'm not even like that, but I understand it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because it's a physical thing. It's like, oh, I'm just going off to get. It's like, what's it like? Like you can drink more than one type of whiskey. Almost.
You go to Burger King closed, McDonald's across the street. I'm going to McDonald's.
Exactly. It's just a physical thing. Like, it doesn't mean that I don't prefer McDonald's. It don't mean like I'm not gonna go to McDonald's the next day. But
right.
Burger King's open right now.
I'm gonna go to Burger King right now.
That's a better one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but again, it really is a difference in the makeup of a male. I can't say male or female, men and women. It's a difference in the makeup of men and women, and we have to. We don't have to, but we should accept the fact that we are different and we are made differently and we think differently.
Because the difference
Right.
is supposed to that's what's supposed to make it a solid union. The differences.
Right. But the women, I feel like we're so hung up on the fact that we think we can change them. That's one of our big thing that we think we can do.
That never works.
Yeah. Now that, like, hearing what you're saying, it's like it's just a biological thing.
Yeah, that never works.
I won't say, like, I agree, it never works, but I would want to say that in a different way.
Okay.
Because that whole thing, like the accountability, holding them accountable, that type of thing, you're finding the person in which they want to raise to that level, or they want to be more responsible and things such as that. I feel like that definitely occurs if you're with the right person. It's not changing their nature, but it's a part of that commitment that they've made. Almost.
But I guess the difference is, and I hear what you're saying, and for the sake of understanding,
right,
I'll accept what you're saying,
because it doesn't change.
Right.
I don't want it to be like, oh, they gonna be like he gonna be a dog no matter what.
No, I'm not
all
saying
this
that.
and
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, but the woman ain't gonna be the one to change it. He gonna change himself, and he may
Change
change
himself
because
for that woman.
right. He may change himself for that woman based upon the rigor, or I don't want to say rigor, based upon the level of accountability that she calls him to. It won't because when I've understood, huh?
Oh, because I was just gonna say even still because, a man could love a woman and want to be better for that woman, but he only knows being better for her as much as she holds him accountable for it. So it's like I might want to be better for this girl, but she doesn't make me do this, or she doesn't say anything about this. So I don't even know that doing that will be better for her. So it still goes to that accountability thing.
It's all about accountability. I'm gonna go another step. I'm gonna go in a totally different direction. So right. So
we got to wrap it up soon.
I know we got to wrap it up, but the thing is, like, if you think about it, and I'll tell you this from a married man's perspective. As a married man, I have single male friends. I don't spend much time with them though, right? No, seriously, because here's the thing. The thing is, we are the sum total of the people we hang around. And so if you are, so say for instance, Shana, you are interested in having a wholesome relationship, right? A wholesome monogamous relationship. When people say monogamy is dead, a wholesome monogamous relationship, you cannot spend a lot of time around people who don't believe that, because eventually you'll start doing that. And so the other side of the coin of what you were saying, T, was not only is it about this man starting to raise to that level of expectation, if that's what we're saying, but it's also now he needs to start spending time around people who are interested in those same types of relationships. Because you can't still hang out with your boys and think that you're going to continue to roll down that path. It ain't going to happen.
And end of the day, or do you have something to say?
I was going to say, I feel like a guy shows you who he is in the beginning. Like, he shows you who he is in the beginning. And I think that's one of the problems, that we think that things are going to change, things are going to switch up, but like, he is who he is. But he's going to mature.
I'm going to give you that for a minute, just for a minute, though. But a guy may be who he is, but he's not his potential.
That's what I was going to say. Because you can talk to somebody and see a glimpse of that potential, too. But also, in that same token, don't get so caught up in potential that you ignore what's happening right in front of you.
Right.
Because, like, the same thing, like, you might find somebody that wants to treat you better, but they have to know how. So they might act a certain way, and you might see that potential of they want to treat you better, and so that can still work, even though right now is how he's understood his life outside of you, and now he's bridging that gap between outside of you and with you. That's one thing, but also if it's a guy that's just acting the way he wants to act,
with no regard for anything else,
right? Then potential can go out the door with him.
Morals and values. If he had no morals and values, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, and I got like a whole checklist of things I talked to T that I won't even discuss here, but I'd be like, look, man, you need to make sure that this is on this level, this is on this level, this is on this level. Not for real. But I mean, if I would have been judged by my actions and not my potential, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I won't just throw that out there, because I mean, you know, I
wouldn't be here either.
Yeah, so
that's good to know.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say one more thing. I guess this is my final point. I guess I was talking to my mom about this, and she was talking about how the Bible calls men to love their women and women to respect their man. And she was saying because that's the hardest thing for each different party to do, the separate parties to do. The hardest thing for a man to do is to open up and love a woman. And the hardest thing for a woman to do is just give that level of respect to a man. And so I just wanted to touch on how that same way, it kind of goes both ways with accountability thing. Like, you should be holding your partner accountable, no matter whether they're male or female. You should be holding them accountable to that commitment, to their integrity, to how they treat you in the relationship, and how they respect that relationship when they're with you and even when they're not with you. There's just certain, I mean, kind of like you said, a checklist, make sure that everybody's meeting those markers, and even talk to each other about, are we meeting what we envision our relationship to be like? Are we reaching our goals? Are we up to, I don't know, 100% productivity, all that good stuff. Just make sure that you're both holding each other accountable, even more so than just one side needs to be held more accountable than the other. You might need to be held accountable for different reasons or for different things, but it should be that balance and that give and take of making sure that you're both reaching that level together.
All right, Shayna, any parting thoughts?
That's all I got to say.
Well, I appreciate you for being here. It's interesting. Go ahead. You gonna say something?
I was gonna say I learned a lot. I'm gonna just say that. That's my last thing. So I learned a lot. I'm glad I was a part of this.
I'm glad you're a part of it as well. Yeah. And I guess my parting thing is this: understanding what society is teaching us and what social media and everything is putting out in front of us is not necessarily the truth. It's a truth. It's just not necessarily the truth. And being willing and able to have deeper conversations is important. And so I'm glad we were able to have this conversation. And I think that this is a conversation that should be facilitated more often among you and your peers, because I can say your generation now, because I mean, you just a generation at the helm right now. Right. I mean, my generation is depending on your generation to make changes and turn this thing around, because where we have allowed society to lead us is not more, I mean, because there's an agenda against the family, you know what I'm saying? And if we can split up the family, we can split up so many things. And so we just need people to, I guess, just take their blinders off and look honestly at relationships, what it takes to be in a relationship, sex, love, responsibility, respect, stability, peace of mind, all that stuff, and really have some honest conversations. So, Bum Podcast.
Bum Podcast.
Between you and me.
Between you and me.
Holla.